Cactus League season is over. Opening day is coming up on Monday. Tonight, the Diamondbacks are back home. We've opened things up here in downtown Phoenix. It's a two-game exhibition series against the defending World Series champion, the Kansas City Royals. Arizona Diamondbacks spring training baseball is presented by Ram Trucks. And good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast on Fox Sports Arizona tonight and Fox Sports Kansas City. Steve Berthume and Jeff Montgomery along the way. It's the Diamondbacks and the Royals. Ruby De La Rosa starts for Arizona and Chris Young for Kansas City. Jeff, you guys kick it off, the MLB opener, in just about 48 hours from now. The defending World Series champs, any position battles that have yet to be decided for you guys?
Really, there are only two jobs open coming into spring training camp, and one real special story to me is Raymond Fuentes. He's going to be playing right field tonight. He's never made a major league opening day roster. He's looking to seal that up, and I like his chances.
What do you like about Fuentes? What's he done that stood out?
Well, he's hit the ball extremely well. He's shown some power. He's a guy that really seems like he feels like now is his time to arrive in the major leagues. A first-round draft choice early in his career, and now a guy that's putting up some numbers when it's really important for him to do so.
Second base, Omar Infante has been the incumbent. Is he on shaky ground, or is it his job once again?
Well, I think it's his job, but he secured that job during spring training camp. I think him and Christian Colon are going to compete for time at second base. Omar coming off a tough offensive year last year, but he's hit the ball much better this spring.
Oh, on the Diamondback side, there is good news, D-backs fans. He is back. A.J. Pollock, only 8 Cactus League at-bats all spring, battling that sore right elbow. He last played in a Cactus League game on March 8th. He's been on the backfields facing Diamondback pitchers like Archie Bradley and Zach Greinke. A.J. is back. He says that elbow is good to go. He is in center field and batting second tonight for Chip Hale. Chip Hale had some interesting things to say about the middle infield. He told us today that when Nick Ahmed is the shortstop, Gene Segura will be the second baseman. You see Segura there. He's batting .517. One of the best hitters in baseball all spring long. Segura at second and Ahmed at short. That is not etched into stone. That's just the way it's going to go tonight for the Diamondbacks against the defending World Series champs, and we'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Kansas City and Fox Sports Arizona. The Diamondbacks and the Royals back with a whole lot more coming up. First pitch on the way from Chase Field right after this.
Grabbed my lip.
Training on Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Sanderson Ford. The best play is at Sanderson Ford. Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. From the Valley, we are set for Diamondbacks baseball. Fox Sports Arizona, Fox Sports Kansas City. More from Chase Field coming up. First pitch minutes away. It's the Royals and the Diamondbacks. is presented in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. By Tire Pros. For the best selection of Continental and General brand tires, visit one of our 22 locally owned locations. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. And by Law Tigers, Arizona's motorcycle lawyers. Welcome back to Chase Field. Steve Berthume, Jeff Montgomery, Joe Borowski, Joel Goldberg down on the field with us on a perfect night here in the Valley, downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Roof and panels open here at Chase Field. As the Diamondbacks are set to take on the defending World Series champion Kansas City Royals. Ned Yost, his 6th full season with the Royals. His club, Jeff, 14 wins, 19 losses in Cactus League play this spring.
Right, a lot of times going into spring training camp when there are a lot of jobs that are open for competition, the record maybe is a little more reflective of that. However, the Royals didn't have a lot of competition. Their record's not great. And take a look here at the Royals batting order. It's going to be likely what you're going to see a lot this season, especially Raymond Fuentes there in the 8th slot. But Escobar done a nice job being a spark plug at the top. He's going to remain there. Mike Moustakas is a big surprise last year at this time, but he's really solidified himself as a great number 2 hitter now. So the rest of the lineup's really, again, what you see is what you get for there. But I think you'll see that a lot during the course of the season for these Royals.
And tomorrow there's a game here, Royals and Diamondbacks, but most of the players you see right there tomorrow will be on a plane to Kansas City because you guys have the Sunday night game to open up the 2016 season, right?
Right. Less than 48 hours from now, the Royals will be playing baseball in the K against the defending National League champion New York Mets.
A World Series rematch on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Tonight it's Ruby De La Rosa. 5 Cactus League starts. Hit hard the last 2 times out by the Giants and by the Rockies. You see the numbers here. Ruby in those last 2 starts gave up 11 earned runs on 18 hits in less than 12 innings. So that spring ERA right about 7.5. He made some location mistakes, but Chip Hale says Ruby's stuff has been dynamite and they just want him to continue it. Not worried about the spring numbers. This is a power right-hander, now the number 4 starter in what is a pretty solid Diamondback rotation.
Really is, and add in Greinke and Miller to that rotation. You got De La Rosa here. What you're seeing from De La Rosa during the course of the spring training is kind of a lot of his MO during the course of the year. He have these brilliant games and occasionally take a step back, but I think all in all his stuff's great. He possesses those 4 really quality pitches, so you never know what you're going to see, but you know Chip Hell's expecting a lot out of Ruby De La Rosa.
Let's take a look now at our eye on defense for the Diamondbacks, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers. And as we talked about at the top of the broadcast, there he is with that sore right elbow. A.J. Pollock says he is good to go. And he is in the lineup tonight. Tomas Pollock Peralta, the outfield left to right. Jake Lamb at third. Nick Ahmed, the shortstop. And Gene Segura will be the second baseman, says Chip Hale, whenever Nick Ahmed is the shortstop. And Segura has said he's not all that comfortable at second base yet. He came up as a shortstop, so it's a work in progress for number 2. Goldie at first, Castillo and De La Rosa, the battery. How about a Valley Honda key to the game? It's a dress rehearsal. You guys have less time than we do to get ready. You'll be going Sunday night for real.
Exactly. A lot going on over the last 6 weeks for these guys, but for the most part, what you see tonight is going to be that lineup that's going to be a likely lineup on Sunday night when the Royals open up against those Mets.
That's your Valley Honda keys to the game. Brett Terry, our plate umpire. Alcides Escobar, a notorious first pitch swinger, is at it again, and he lines it to left center field. Escobar on the run. And he's thinking 3 here, and he will make it a leadoff triple. And De La Rosa backs up. Good thing he's there. 1 pitch in. Escobar is in at third. Jeff, what's the deal with this guy? He swings at the first pitch, it seems, almost every at bat.
Well, a lot of times, I don't know if the scouting reports make their way around spring training, but we see a lot of first pitch fastballs for Alcides Escobar. Certainly the case here. He gets a pitch in the middle part of the plate and drives the ball very effectively to left center field.
He'd had a slow spring, hitting only .208 in just under 50 Cactus League at bats, but he's in at third now for Mike Moustakas, who is the new 2-hole hitter this year for Ned Yost. Big spring for Moustakas. 360 in 19 Cactus League games. 3 home runs. He knocked in 13. And has consistently shown he's able to get on base in that 2-hole. What do you think of Mike Moustakas as the number 2 hitter in a lineup?
Well, it was certainly a huge surprise to a lot of people last year when Ned Yost had him in that opening day lineup as a number 2 hole hitter. He delivered. He had a home run the opposite field. The main focus for him starting last season was hit the ball hard to left field, drive the ball the other way, take that shift away from the opposition, and it really was reflective in his breakout season. He had a really nice postseason in 2014, carried that confidence into 2015, and had a really nice year.
He's ahead, 2 balls, no strikes. Yeah, Moustakas last year, career high 284. 22 home runs, 82 RBIs, also personal best. First All-Star selection of his career last year.
And it's not unusual for Mike Moustakas to have enormous Cactus League numbers. For the last 4 seasons, he just puts up enormous numbers during spring training, and then until last year, he never really put up the good numbers.
Segura at second. This will get the run home as Escobar scores the RBI for Moustakas, and it's 1-0 Kansas City.
Center fielder, number 6.
Brings up Lorenzo Cain, the center fielder.
And that first run just plated by the Royals, very typical of the way they manufacture runs. They find a way to get things going, use their speed like Escobar on that leadoff triple, then they do what the pitcher allowed them to do, put the ball in play, easy ground ball, scores a run.
And Cain, a very good spring. He's sitting over 360 with 3 home runs. Ruby getting behind in the count after Escobar jumped on the first pitch. This is a slow roller to Nick Ahmed at shortstop. Well, you've got to think, Jeff, with this lineup that the Royals will certainly be one of the favorites in the American League, maybe to get to the World Series for the 3rd year in a row. I mean, Escobar, Moustakas, Cain, Hosmer, Morales, Gordon, Perez. Those guys will wear you out.
Well, they have a very deep lineup. They added a few guys last year, and particularly the guy on deck here with Kendrys Morales, who really extended that lineup. He provided so much protection for the guys ahead of him, and it just gave that length to the lineup. They lose a guy or two during the course of the season to injury, but they have such depth, they really didn't miss a beat.
0-1 on Eric Hosmer. Now a ball and a strike to Hosmer, who's been a .340 hitter this spring. He's got 3 home runs.
It's been very enjoyable to watch Eric Hosmer really evolve from the day he arrived in the major leagues to become a complete player. He's one of the team leaders. He's one of the spokesmen on this team, and a guy that really has the ability to do a lot both on the field and off field for this club. But I know they're looking for a big season for him, and so is Eric Hosmer.
Still just 26 years old. That's chop foul. Royals first round pick in the 08 draft, the 3rd overall selection out of Plantation, Florida. Does this team have a leader? Is there one guy that stands out? Because here in Arizona, it's Paul Goldschmidt. And he and Hosmer are similar in lots of, I think, lots of ways.
They really are. And Hosmer would be near the top of that list. I still think Alex Gordon is a guy that really kind of runs this team as far as his, he's been around this team longer than any other player. And his presence is just certainly, it's always felt when he's in that lineup and what he's able to do in the clubhouse as well. But he's a quiet leader. He's not a guy that's going to be vocal. Eric Hosmer more the vocal leader.
Ruby elevates at 96 miles an hour and blows away Hosmer, but the Royals strike first. They get a run on the board. Bottom 1 coming up from Chase Field here in downtown Phoenix. It's an election year after all. Royals fans joining us here at Chase Field down from Surprise as we close out the Cactus League season, a 2-game exhibition series. The Royals and Chip Hale's Arizona Diamondbacks 22-8-3 this spring. They won the Cactus League title. 22 wins, only one shy of the club record, 23 for a spring set back in 2002. And here is the lineup for Chip Hale's Diamondbacks tonight. Gene Segura leads it off. He is the leadoff man. Pollock, Goldie, Peralta, Castillo behind the plate, Lamb at third, Tomas in left, Ricky Weeks Jr. the DH, and Nick Ahmed will be the shortstop. Strike one to Gene Segura on the mound for the Royals. Boy, this guy came up big, Jeff, in the postseason. It's Chris Young.
He was a late signing for the Royals last spring. Really looking for an opportunity at the major league level after having a nice bounce back year with the Seattle Mariners in 2014. He really answered the bell huge for the Kansas City Royals. Went to the bullpen for a while, pitched effectively, went into the rotation, pitched great in the rotation. Maybe wore down a little bit, but by the end of the season, he was back in the rotation, a big factor in the postseason for him.
And he strikes out Segura to lead off the ball game. Chris Young, 36. He'll be 37 next month. He's made 5 Cactus League starts so far, 2-2. The ERA is just under 6. And here, Diamondback fans, is A.J. Pollock, a sight for sore eyes and sore elbows for that matter. Just 8 Cactus League at bats all spring long. He has not played in a big league spring training game since March 8th. Trying to let that sore right elbow stop barking, but he says he is good to go. Ball one from Chris Young.
Had a chance to visit with D-backs manager Chip Hale a little earlier today, and he was so excited to see Pollock's name back in that lineup. He's a guy that certainly instrumental in their success this year.
An all-star last year and a Gold Glover in center field. Sky-high, shallow center. Infante drifting out there. He's got it. And that's 2 down. Our eye on defense. Let's take the Royals. Take a look at the Royals now, Jeff. Brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Yeah, Royals known for their solid defense. Got a Gold and Platinum Glover and Alex Gordon left. Lorenzo Cain can go get him with the best in center, and young Raymond Fuentes in right. And in the normal infield, you're going to see Moose at third, Alcides Escobar at short, Infante and Hosmer on the right side of the infield, and Salvador Perez behind the dish.
Here's Goldie. This one is drilled to left field, headed for the corner, and it's off the top of the bullpen wall. It stays in play for Goldschmidt. A 2-out double. He jumped on the first pitch from Chris Young and just missed a home run.
Talk about a sweet swing. Get a nice pitch to handle. Great hitters like Paul Goldschmidt are not going to miss those pitches. First pitch in the at-bat or later on. He's not going to miss him. Sure didn't miss that one.
He is not a first pitch swinger by what we've seen from Goldie so far. But when he swings at that first one, it works. Last year, a .450 batting average. David Peralta. Goldie at second, 2 outs. Peralta hitting just under .260 with 1 home run in Cactus League play.
I believe that home run came on April 12th against the Royals.
It was off Medlin, yeah. Got a hanging curveball.
That's right.
At Salt River Fields. He's picked up the pace lately, David, and somehow he's been able to stay patient up there this spring. You really like to see that. He's walked nearly as much as he's struck out. And the on-base percentage is over .350. He's ahead 2 balls and no strikes.
Chris Young, a pitcher who understands the situation, very well prepared pitcher, has a base open, a nice quality left-handed stick at the plate. Got the right-hander in Castillo on deck, may pitch around a little bit around Peralta, and he does.
Fell behind in the count, then went outside both times, so it's a 4-pitch walk to Peralta. 2-1 and 2 out now for the dangerous Wellington Castillo, who has had a sensational spring. 417 in 13 Cactus League games, 5 home runs. He's knocked in a team-high 19 runs.
It's going to be happy for a guy like Castillo who gets the opportunity when he gets traded here to the Diamondbacks for an opportunity to play on a regular basis, and then he produces, and you can just tell the difference in the confidence that he has.
He homered yesterday in the Diamondbacks game against the Rockies at Salt River Fields. Wellington 13 RBIs in his last 8 games. And the remarkable thing about his spring, he has slugged over 1,000 in the Cactus League. He's got 15 hits, 14 of them for extra bases, 9 doubles and 5 homers. That's this high in the air. Shallow right. Fuentes coming in. And Chris Young strands 2. We are through 1. Royals lead the Diamondbacks 1-0.
All right.
The Diamondbacks 1-0. Ruby De La Rosa on the mound for Arizona, and Joe Borowski is down on the field. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. How about yourself?
I'm just glad to be back home here. What have you seen from Ruby De La Rosa so far this spring?
Well, Steve, last year I thought one big glaring problem that he had last year was getting his secondary pitches over for strikes. But already in the first inning, we've seen him throw 2 changeups behind the count, got a roll over to second, and got a strike on a ground ball that was foul to first. So positive so far. If he's going to be successful this year, that's one of the things he's going to have to do.
We'll check in with Joe and Joel Goldberg throughout our ball game here tonight as Kendrys Morales, the DH, leads off the second for the Royals. An Escobar triple to lead off the ball game. Mike Moustakas an RBI ground out for the only run of the game so far. Morales has homered twice this spring. A .246 Cactus League batting average. He's played a lot. He's had 61 at bats.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened last year with Kendrys Morales. Ned Yost gave him an abundance of at-bats, gave him a chance to really get things right. Think back to the year before. He didn't start baseball till mid-season. He really missed spring training camp. So last year they gave him all those at-bats. It paid off dearly. I think it's safe to say that if it's not broke, don't fix it. So they're going to let him do the same thing this year.
This is hammered to deep center field. It backs up Pollock. He'll play it off the wall. No, he won't. They'll watch it go. Kendrys Morales takes one way out of here. And it's 2-0 Kansas City. That's his third this spring, and that ball was hammered.
I haven't seen many ball games in this ballpark, Steve, but I would venture to say not a lot of balls go over that line in dead center field. That is a long way out there.
That a location mistake?
Yep. Get a pitch up, allows the hitter to get extended, and Kendrys Morales knew it. I'm sure Ruby De La Rosa knew it as soon as it left his bat. Had that sound that is really difficult to mistake.
Up onto the home run porch. So 2-0 Royals, and here is Alex Gordon. The longtime Royal hitting just under 300 for his Cactus League season, 3 home runs. I thought it was great, Jeff, that they brought him back, that they figured out a way to get a deal done, because it just would have been strange to see Alex Gordon in another uniform. I'm sure doubly so for any Royals fan out there.
Well, absolutely. And it was a two-way street. The Royals maybe went a little above and beyond where they thought they could possibly go. Alex Gordon made it work. He was a guy that wanted to come back, wear royal blue, and he's going to be one of those guys that's going to likely have a statue out there of him someday if he continues to do what he does. I mean, he's one of the all-time great Royals.
4 years, $72 million, re-signed right after the new year. And now here for his age 32 season is good to go in royal blue. 2 balls and 2 strikes now.
And the thing about Alex Gordon, he's the epitome of what Dayton Moore, the Royals general manager, attempts to accomplish, and that is have really high quality individuals wearing royal blue uniforms, and it all starts with Alex Gordon.
3-2 pitch. Hard to short. It's by a diving Ahmed and into left center. Gordon's aboard. That's the 3rd hit for Kansas City.
Number 13, Salvador Perez.
Alex going to take what De La Rosa gives him. If he goes away, he's going to pitch him away, hit him away, and that's exactly what he did.
Salvador Perez, who got so much attention for his new contract. And boy, you really got to give the Royals credit here. You see his numbers this spring. He was on a 5-year, $7 million deal, and yes, he signed it. He knew what he was doing. He's a grown-up, but the Royals, to their credit, given what Salvi Perez means to this team, tore that contract up. And when they didn't have to, wrote him a new one, $7 million, changed to $52 million. It's a pretty good raise.
It's certainly a nice raise and a tremendous gesture as far as what this individual means to the Royals organization. He's one of the fan favorites. Talk about leaders. He's really emerged as a leader, especially in that guy that kind of keeps guys going, keeps everybody loose.
In the air, right center field. Segura drifting out from second base, and he's got it. That's the first out here in the second. I imagine that's a real investment in goodwill for the Royals, not just Jeff for the players in the clubhouse now, but maybe other players out there in baseball, potential free agents who see, well, I guess this is the way that Kansas City handles its business.
Well, and exactly, and you have some young guys on this team that are really kind of getting to the stage in their career where you can look and see maybe another year or two down the road, the Moustakas and the Hosmers become free agents. But I think the gesture toward Salvador Perez goes a long way in sending a message that we're not just planning on winning here for a couple of years. We want to keep this thing alive really as long as we can.
Omar Infante, the veteran, 357 this spring. There was some thought that Christian Colon would challenge him for the starting job, but I saw Jeff Colon really had a poor spring. So is Infante the guy at second?
I believe he's the guy. He was the incumbent, so he was a likely guy to emerge spring training as the everyday guy. But you still have to perform, and I think that's a thing that competition oftentimes creates success, and that's what we're seeing with Infante with the bat during spring training camp. Now, certainly you have to carry it over into the season. Christian Colon had one of the biggest hits in Royals history last year when he drove in the winning run in the World Series. So he's a guy that certainly has shown what he has the ability to do, even with limited at-bats and playing time.
Yeah, you thought maybe Colon, who's 26 years old, he'll be 27 next month, would push Infante, who's 34. But Colon just 7 for 51 in the Cactus League this spring, so he really had a tough spring.
Right, it took him a while to go off the snide and get his first hit, but he's swinging the bat much better now.
1-0 on Omar Infante. Infante beginning his 15th season in the big leagues. Did not appear in the postseason for the Royals last year. They got Ben Zobrist, and that, I guess, took care of that for the most part.
Right, he had an oblique injury late in the season, and he really never got back in position physically to be able to participate.
2-0 pitch. There's a strike, 2-1.
See, Ruby De La Rosa comes with a changeup, 1-0, and in a breaking ball, 2-0. So it's nice to see him showing that confidence in those off pitches like Joe was talking about.
Yeah, Ruby very confident right now. He says everything is working. Fastball, the slider, the changeup, the cutter. And they picked off Gordon over there at first. Ruby got him. 2 outs.
See a lot of guys work on pickoff moves during spring training camp. It looks like Alex maybe had a little spin out job there trying to get back to first base.
He got stuck halfway, it seemed like. So he's out. 2-1 count on Infante now with 2 down and nobody on. The issue at times for Ruby, of course, can he control and navigate those Ruby moments where he sort of loses focus or concentration, it seems, out there. Been touched for a run in each of the first 2 innings, and there's a 2-out walk to Infante.
And really the biggest thing for a pitcher is finding ways to duplicate that delivery. Repeat your delivery time after time after time, regardless of the pitcher you're trying to execute. Find a way to get that release point and then just find the ability to execute that pitch. And sometimes pitchers like Ruby De La Rosa get out of sync. They just can't get back in, and that's just part of experience, growing up, learning on the fly how to get that delivery back.
There's Mike Butcher, the new pitching coach here, as Raymond Fuentes steps in, the right fielder, who's had a very good spring. And you were telling us at the start of the show, Jeff, that the right field job was really the one spot that was up for grabs.
I think coming into spring training camp, Gerard Dyson and Paulo Orlando likely are going to compete for time out there in a platoon situation. And it looks like now with the injury to Dyson, Fuentes may be the guy that's going to get some at-bats and maybe the majority of at-bats against right-handed pitching.
As you saw, hit nearly .390 in 25 games this spring. And they got a long look. He had more than 50 at-bats. 3 doubles, 3 homers, drove in 14 runs, stole 3 bases, had a nice spring.
He really did, and he was a former first-round pick, so there's ability there. Somebody thought he had the ability to be an impact player at the major league level, and now possibly at only age 25, he's showing that he can be that guy.
Just turned 25 in February. First rounder by the Red Sox back in '09. This is away there, 2-1. We've mentioned this all spring long. One of the priorities for Ruby De La Rosa, improve against left-hand hitters. Lefties hit .315 versus Ruby last year. About 100 points higher than his batting average against right-handers.
Really nice execution on the 2-1 pitch to get back in this count. Now he's back to 2-2. A lot more things you can do at a 2-2 count as a pitcher as opposed to a 3-1 count. So really big for him, especially when you get down to the bottom part of the order. You just walk the number 8 guy. You got to find a way to put away these bottom of the lineup guys.
Goldie backhands at first. But the Royals get another run. Kendrys Morales, his 3rd this spring, makes it 2-0 Kansas City.
aggressive and taking a little extra care of him. The Royals have 3 off days during the first 5 games, the first 5 days of the year. So I think finding ways to manipulate these guys to allow them to make sure they're 100%, especially making that first start.
Jake Lamb closing out what has been a big spring for Jake, hitting just under 400 with 3 home runs. A ball and a strike. Lamb, Tomas, and Ricky Weeks Jr. 6, 7, and 8 here in the Diamondbacks.
Yesterday in the loss to the Rockies at Salt River Fields. And we always talk about it's nice to have depth. You also have to have optionable depth. There's always, it seems, every year a guy or two, a young guy who's had a great spring but has options, and another guy, a veteran, may not. Options meaning he can be sent down to the minor leagues, and sometimes that takes precedent over performance. You want to have as much flexibility as you can, and Ricky Weeks and Brandon Drury have both had great springs. They both deserve to be here, but the question is, can they find a way to get both of them on the opening day roster?
Right, exactly. I was talking with manager Chip Hale today about that situation. He said it's really difficult, but he tells his guys, he's short and sweet with them, and lets them know that, hey, we're going to have a need for you. So don't go down and not put yourself in a position. Go down and work hard and be ready, because we're going to need you. We're going to need more than 25 guys during the course of this season.
And Ricky, at the age of 33, still has that bat speed. He's been a patient hitter. He's doubled 6 times. He's drawn 5 walks. His on-base percentage this spring is almost .530. 2-2. Trying to win a reserve outfield job on this Diamondback ball club. When you stand behind the batting cage and watch this guy take BP, it's like he was 10 years younger back in his Milwaukee days. He just hammers the ball. Chases that one upstairs, and Chris Young gets his second strikeout. We'll go to the third. It's the Royals 2 and the Diamondbacks nothing. In downtown Phoenix, D-backs trail the Royals 2-0. Hey fans, secure tickets now for D-backs opening day at Chase Field. It's coming up Monday, April 4. First pitch is 6:40 against the Colorado Rockies, and Zach Greinke makes his Diamondback debut against the Rockies' Jorge De La Rosa. A game you don't want to miss. Get your tickets right now at dbacks.com. And there it is. Zach Greinke will be out here Monday night against Jorge De La Rosa. 3 against the Rockies and then 4 against the Cubs the first week of the 2016 regular season. Royals will open up Sunday night in the Sunday nighter against the Mets, a World Series rematch. Alcides Escobar leads off the Royal third against Ruby De La Rosa. Moustakas an RBI ground out. Morales a solo homer. 2-0 Kansas City.
Steve, Diamondback fans are in for a real treat in watching Zach Greinke. He is a master on the mound. He's always fun to listen to in the post-game comments as well.
He's very honest. It seems like he almost doesn't have a filter. He tells you what he thinks.
Exactly.
In a great way. And from everything we've been told and observed, he is still a sponge up there. He is a student of the game. Tough play for Lamb. Jake Lamb at third. Beautiful play. We'll see how we feel about challenging Chip Hale, waiting for word from Alan Campbell, the Diamondbacks video coordinator. It sure looked like he beat that out, and Chip will indeed challenge. Ted Barrett, the first base umpire, comes over. They'll put on the headsets with Jim Wolf. Let's take a look.
No option here but to bare hand for Lamb. This one very well could be reversed.
I think the Diamondbacks have a pretty good case here. Let's see.
Replay review. The call on the field is that the runner is safe at first base.
Jake Lamb always been considered a plus defender at third base.
The call was initiated
And we just saw why.
by the Arizona Diamondbacks.
So it's our first review. We did not have replay review in the Cactus League. This is technically an exhibition game, because the camera setups at some of the spring training ballparks aren't what they are in the big league ballparks, so that's why they don't have it in spring training, but they will take advantage of it here.
I know a lot of old schoolers are not in favor of replay. I'm one who particularly does like it. I like it when they get it right. I like it when they get it right in a hurry too.
It is remarkable when the percentage rate on calls that are challenged, that are overturned, is close to 50%. That shows that there is a glaring need for it, because as we just saw, some of these calls are extremely difficult for the umpires. who also want to make sure that the call is correct.
And they really do. We have a chance to visit with a lot of umpires during the course of the season, and that's one of the things they say. Hey, I may not look good as a result of this being turned over, but I would rather get it right and not be the guy that has to watch the replays all day long the next day on especially a critical play that could maybe determine the outcome of a ball game.
And I thought, Jeff, for the most part, baseball did a terrific job last year of speeding up this process. The first year we had it, it was kind of a big deal, and it really got bogged down. The communication was not great from the field to the booth, so everybody in the ballpark knew what was going on. But last year I thought it was much improved.
I agree. And Joel Goldberg, our reporter for Fox Sports Kansas City, had a chance to go to the command center in New York last year. He said it was just truly remarkable, everything that they have to go on, and it's really nice.
And there you go. Case in point, the call is overturned, so that's a 5-3 putout, and Chip Hale wins his challenge.
At the plate, third baseman Mike Moustakas.
2 minutes and 6 seconds, we're told, on that replay review. So one away now for Mike Moustakas, who had an RBI ground out his first time up after Escobar led off the game with a triple. There's strike one. And once again, the Diamondbacks going to the overshift. Three infielders on the right-hand side. Nick Ahmed all by himself at shortstop.
I was watching Mike Moustakas take batting practice today, and he bunted at least 8 or 10 balls to the left side, just for instances like this, when he maybe wants to take a shot at getting the guy or getting on, and whether the bases are empty or not.
Easy fly ball for A.J. Pollock, 2 down. Well, there is the school of thought that says if you get a guy like Mike Moustakas to bunt, you've in a sense won the battle, because he's not going to hit a double or a home run. However, with guys like Kane and Hosmer and Morales and Gordon coming up behind him with him on base, I'm not sure in the big picture you've won the battle.
I think his goal is to really maybe take that shift away more frequently so that he has more holes to hit through on the right side, and he did a really nice job of that last year, not just with the bunting but hitting the ball the other way.
His on base percentage, Moustakas, last year skyrocketed to a career high. Here's Lorenzo Cain. Here's a chopper to Ahmed short. Throw pulls Goldie off the bag, but he gets the tag down, and it turns out to be a 1-2-3 inning for Ruby De La Rosa, who's now retired 4 in a row. Diamondbacks trail the Royals 2-0. As we start the home half of the third at Chase Field. Hey fans, join Major League Baseball new era and the 30 clubs as we celebrate opening day. Make sure to wear your favorite cap on Monday, April 4th, which is opening day for most teams except the two teams that were in the World Series last October, the Royals and the Mets, who open up the 2016 season Sunday night, as Nick Ahmed is set to lead it off for the Diamondbacks against the Royals' Chris Young. And as Jeff, as you were mentioning, it's kind of a weird first week for Kansas City. You've got the Sunday nighter to open things up, and everybody will be watching that game. And then you got a bunch of off days. There's a day game. I mean, this whole first week after this opening nighter is a little, it's weird, wild stuff.
Right, and we see the starters here with Matt Harvey with the Mets and a rematch from really Game 5 of the World Series, and Edson Volquez going for the Royals.
Nick Ahmed, another base hit. It drops in front of Lorenzo Cain in right center. The leadoff single in the third for Nick, who continues his outstanding spring. Came into the ball game hitting .419.
Second baseman, Gene Segura.
Gene Segura struck out to lead off the ball game. He will be the leadoff hitter. That's what the Diamondbacks would like to go with, says Chip Hale. A.J. Pollock in the 2-hole. I was listening to Ned Yost the other day, said, look, Edson Volquez has been the heart of the Royals staff. He's a guy who deserved the start in that opener Sunday night against the Mets. The rematch with Matt Harvey, games 1 and 5. But then you got an off day. And then there's a day game with the rings and everything. And then there's another couple of off days.
It's going to be very unusual. It's a lot of times difficult for players to get things really in order with all those off days.
They'll settle for one as they get the force on Ahmed. Yeah, I would think first week you'd like to get into some kind of rhythm here, but it's going to be a little stop start.
Yeah, really difficult, and sometimes it's difficult for the manager and the pitching coach to make sure that their pitching staffs are lined up to really accommodate all of those off days, make sure guys stay sharp. Sometimes players will stay back in Arizona or Florida, get their work in, but certainly with the Royals coming north and getting the World Series ring, I don't think anybody wants to stay back and miss that ceremony.
Yeah, I bet. A.J. Pollock is back for the Diamondbacks. He popped up to second his first time up tonight, his first big league spring game since March 8th. He'd been out about 3.5 weeks with that sore right elbow. And Chip Hale said yesterday that for A.J. the swinging and the throwing is not a concern at this point. The real worry is overdoing it and just sort of how this elbow soreness began in the first place earlier this spring. Too much activity in too short a time frame. So they will monitor it closely with Pollock. But they do believe he is healthy and good to go for Monday. AJ says he's set to go. And they are relying on him to be honest with them, says Chip, about what hurts and what does not.
Right, and it's a very good sign to see him in this lineup tonight, because if you have Ahmed at the bottom and he's going to get on base a lot, you look and see at the number Segura's put up during spring training, and then you follow up with Pollock and Goldschmidt. I mean, that's quite a formidable lineup there, starting at the number 9 slot.
Yeah, and Chip is going to bat the pitcher 8th. There's a DH tonight, but for the most part, it seems the pitcher will bat 8th for the Diamondbacks. So in terms of who's the leadoff man, it's not quite as important that way once the lineup turns around the first time. Got to keep an eye on Segura down there. He's got 5 stolen bases this spring. Diamondbacks is always very aggressive on the base paths this spring so far. Segura holds. AJ drives it to center, and that gets down. Segura's on the run. He will come in and score. AJ Pollock, welcome back. It's an RBI double.
Pollock does not look like he's a player that's been out of action for as long as he has. Certainly he's had the at-bats on the minor league side, but really nice job of hitting here, getting the ball in the gap, driving in a run.
Just 8 Cactus League at-bats all spring long, but as you said, he looked like the all-star he was last year right there. And the Diamondbacks are on the board. It's a 2-1 ball game now, with AJ at second. 1 out. Here's Goldie, who doubled on the first pitch he saw from Young, his first time up. Banged it high off the bullpen wall in the left field corner. There's the strike, 0-1. Goldie has now hit safely in 14 of his last 15 games this spring, hitting over .330.
for 2 years.
Roller to Escobar at shortstop. AJ sneaks into third, and Goldie beats it out. Safe at first is the call from Ted Barrett. That was hit slowly, Jeff, to shortstop, and Goldie runs better than a lot of people realize.
Gotta like the hustle too, coming out of the box, running hard, exhibition game or not. Alcides Escobar takes a little look over at Pollock going to third base and may have cost him a chance to get the out at first.
Ed Yost waiting for the word, should I challenge or not? Ted Barrett looking over, waiting for something.
Yep.
And no challenge, it looks like, from the Royals dugout.
Now batting, right fielder, David Peralta.
Just great hustle there.
So they're on the corners now. One out for David Peralta, who walked in his first plate appearance today. That is a single, by the way, a base hit for Goldie, so he's 2 for 2. You mentioned, Jeff, the potential injury. There goes Goldie. Perez drops it. Goldie's in there. A stolen base for Goldie, his third this spring. The injury, or the concern at least, about the hamstring of Ian Kennedy. And you mentioned at the top of the broadcast that may put a cap on the number of pitches that Chris Young throws here tonight. Well, there is action in the Royals bullpen right now.
Right, I've heard that he's going to go roughly 45 pitches tonight, as he will likely be the Game 2 starter.
Two-0 pitch. Kevin McCarthy, the right-hander, warms up. AJ Pollock at second. Or at third after his RBI double. Goldie at second. 3-1 now on Peralta. Beef Wellington on deck. Hard to second. Infante. AJ coming home. And he sneaks in there to tie the ball game, and he's hurt. An awkward slide at home by A.J. Pollock. And he seems to be very delicately protecting that right arm. And it's the right elbow that's been the concern all spring long. Let's see. Ryan DePanfilo, the trainer out there. And A.J. is not happy.
Just baseball instincts taking over here. Does everything he can. It looked like maybe when he was trying to get up is when that strain went on that right side.
You can see how he's holding that right arm as Chris Young will exit the ball game. And Kevin McCarthy will come in. Diamondbacks have tied it at 2 back after this. 2-2 ball game. Royals and Diamondbacks bottom third. Chip Hale worrying about his center fielder, who apparently aggravated an injury, sliding into home plate as the new pitcher for the Royals is on. It's Kevin McCarthy to face Wellington Castillo. McCarthy, 24 years old, up from Royals minor league camp. A 16th round pick 3 years ago by the Royals. Castillo flied out his first time up. Base hit. Matt Williams will stop Goldie at third. The bases are loaded. Jeff, what did you see on the A.J. Pollock play at the plate?
Well, it looked like he was just, going hard, finding a way. He goes in with his left, but then when he got up on that right side, that's really what concerned me, and it looks like that may have been when he maybe tweaked that right elbow just a little bit.
Just right there when he puts the weight on it and leans on it. And this is A.J. walking off. He was very upset and went immediately into the clubhouse. He is not in the dugout right now. And yeah, that look says it all. Jake Lamb, bases loaded, 1 out, 2-2 ball game.
One of the things you hear repeated so many times during the course of spring training, especially toward the end of spring training camp, let's get out of here without any setbacks health-wise, and certainly hopefully that's not going to be one for A.J. Pollock.
And as soon as we have information, we'll pass it along to you, of course. Jake Lamb grounded out to first his first time up. Three and 0. Now look at Kevin McCarthy. Pitched for 3 different teams in the Royals organization last year. Finished up in Double-A, and there's a walk with the bases loaded. It's 3-2 Diamondbacks. The RBI for Lamb, who has shown tremendous patience at the plate this spring. Jake has an on-base percentage over 500. That's his 14th walk this spring.
Really nice job at the plate. Don't get to know that strike zone. Certainly in a situation you've got a young pitcher, inexperienced pitcher on the mound, and make him throw strikes. And unfortunately for McCarthy, that was not the case.
As Manny Tomas, a run is in, bases still loaded. Can't check his swing. It's 0-1. He gets the force as Peralta comes across.
Designated hitter, Ricky Weeks Jr.
4-2 now. Ricky Weeks Jr. Struck out his first time up. Royals got a run in the first, a run in the second. So far, it's been a 4-run Diamondback third.
tough situation for McCarthy. He needs to get out of this inning. Damage has been done. You have to find a way to continue to pound that strike zone. He got ahead, but now he's falling behind in the count.
2 balls and 1 strike. Jake Lamb is the runner at second. Yasmani Tomas at first. That's a fair ball down the left field line. Lamb will score. And we'll see how fast Yasmani can run. Matt Williams will stop him there. An RBI double for Ricky Weeks Jr. And it's a 5-run Diamondback third. Ricky Weeks wants a job. And he has had a tremendous spring.
Weeks gets ahead in this count. He's looking for a pitch in the middle part of the plate. He got it and drives the ball right inside the left field foul line.
Diamondbacks have batted around now. Ahmed, who led off the inning with a single, is the 10th man to bat in this Diamondback third. Nick has hit consistently all spring long. He's hit safely in 18 of 20 games. There's a strike, 1-1.
Really difficult situation for Kevin McCarthy here. He's in a situation that he's not been in likely before. Get a tough hitter like Ahmed, even though he's hitting at the bottom, his numbers in spring training, and when you're unable to find that strike zone, especially with your off pitches, it's difficult.
In the hole, Moustakas. And that's the end of the inning, but the Diamondbacks get 5. We go to the 4th. They lead the Royals 5-2.
Hey, Royals fans.
Spring training on Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Ram Trucks. Right now, get a great deal during Ram Truck Month. Just a perfect night here in downtown Phoenix. We're at Chase Field. Roof and panels open. The Diamondbacks lead the Royals 5-2 as we're set for the 4th inning. A.J. Pollock has had to leave the ball game with an apparent elbow injury. Socrates Brito has replaced A.J. in center field. Ruby De La Rosa now with a 5-2 lead. He's retired the last 4 Royals he's faced. And Eric Hosmer leads off the 4th. Hosmer, Morales, Gordon 4, 5, and 6 for Kansas City. And there's ball 1. Hosmer struck out his first time up. Ruby got him to chase a high fastball to win the first. Hosmer last season, the best year of his career. The OPS was .822. Big cut at that one on the 2-0 pitch.
Eric Hosmer feels like there is still something left to show. I think he at times is he's a very streaky hitter at times and shows what his upside is. I think he's looking to put it all together for a 6-month schedule and see what he can do. But he's a guy that certainly feels like he's going to be able to put up even better numbers, and maybe this year, but at some point in the future.
Last year, 18 homers, 93 RBIs, a career high. Ruby misses there. And it's a leadoff walk, second walk issued by Ruby De La Rosa.
Designated hitter, Kendrys Morales.
Kendrys Morales, who his first time up, led off the second with a long home run to deep center field. There's Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. This was Kendrys Morales' first at bat tonight.
Yeah, K-Mo got a ball up in the middle part of the plate and put a tremendous swing on it.
Of course, these mound visits now are timed. There's a 30-second clock that starts when the coach or the manager gets out of the dugout. So you got to run out there, say your piece, and be done. Seems like it's not very much time.
You may want to get in some pretty good shape too.
Yeah, for some of these guys, that's not easy. And there might be a language barrier. Somebody's English might not be terrific out there. Morales' home run is third this spring. Now with 8 RBIs.
Steve, I bet the pitchers are really going to like that rule.
I was going to ask you, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the pitcher?
It's a good thing for the pitchers.
I would think a mound visit would give them sort of a breather or a chance to reset things if they're in trouble. But no, you want the guy in and out.
Yeah, sometimes there's so much going on. You'd like to be able to maybe take a little bit of a breather, but you want to get back in action. You don't want to be standing around talking and unless there's maybe a situation where you need to give that guy in the bullpen some time to warm up. But for the most part, you want the ball. You want to stay in your rhythm, stay in your game.
Yeah, so those days of the long mound visit to stall for time are over. There's a strike. Diamondbacks have the shift on here with Hosmer at first.
As a pitcher, when the replay goes into effect, when they're going to review the plays that are under review, that's one of the things I thought would be really difficult for pitchers, is if it's going to last 2 to 3 minutes, how's a pitcher going to stay good and hot on that mound? But they've found a nice way of doing it.
Jammed him, pop up. Third base side. Ahmed's the only guy over there, and that's the first out.
Left fielder Alex Gordon.
Well, that's the location. Sometimes Ruby will throw that two-seam fastball into a lefty, and it'll drift away from the left-hand batter at the last moment and leak back out over the plate. And that's where he gets himself into trouble sometimes. That seem to have a pretty good location there.
Had a nice set of handcuffs right there.
Alex Gordon singled in his first at bat, and then was picked off by Ruby. Well, Ruby so often will power through one of these ball games, but we've seen him, Jeff, tonight, and Joe mentioned this earlier, really go to some of the other stuff in the repertoire tonight.
Yeah, and it seems like maybe that's a little bit of a game plan for Ruby De La Rosa tonight, is find a way to demonstrate my ability to throw these off pitches, whether I'm ahead in the count or behind in the count. And as a pitcher, it makes you better if you have the ability to do that. A lot of times you open up guys' eyes, the hitter's eyes, when you know you're going to throw that pitch, even behind in the count.
Segura, Ahmed, Goldie, they roll it. Gene Segura, who said he's still a little uncomfortable at second base, starts the 4-6-3 right there. Diamondbacks lead 5-2. lead the Royals here in the 4th inning. And fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's the day after every D-backs win. You'll get 50% off of your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Just enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com. Gene Segura, who says things are still a little backwards for him at second base, gets this 4-6-3 started, Jeff, and looks just fine.
Looked pretty smooth right there. Catch the ball, make sure one bonus you get two, and he sure enough did that.
And again, Chip Hale said before the ball game today that on days when Nick Ahmed is the shortstop, Gene Segura will be the second baseman. It's not that he's going to be the second baseman all year. He's not locked into that position. But when Nick is the shortstop, Segura will be at second. And Chris Owens will fit in there somewhere. Maybe take some reps at third. Maybe get some reps in the outfield. They'll try and find some spots for COs. New pitcher for the Royals is the lefty Danny Duffy. His 9th appearance this spring. It still seems like they're not sure if Danny Duffy is a starter or a reliever.
Yeah, Danny's been really more effective as a relief pitcher. He's had really some signs of brilliance in some of his starts over the course of his career, but even Danny will admit it's time for him to become a more consistent pitcher, whether he's in the bullpen or in the rotation, and it looks like he's going to start the season in that bullpen.
He made 6 relief appearances in the postseason last year for Ned Yost. There's Hosmer. After spending the majority of last year in the starting rotation, where his ERA was 4.35, made 24 starts, was moved to the bullpen for the final 2 weeks of the year and recorded 8 1/3 scoreless innings. His ERA in the playoffs last year was 6. No walks, 9 strikeouts.
Yeah, he seems like a different pitcher when he's pitching in relief. He's a much more aggressive pitcher, and it seems like he finds a way to keep his pitch count down better. As a starter, he would have some signs of brilliance where he would cruise through games 7, 8 innings and low pitch counts, but oftentimes he would have 100 pitches after 3 1/3 innings. So that was really his downfall, going through really too many pitches during the course of the early part of the game.
Socrates Brito. There's a little flare. It might drop in there, and it does. And if you're wondering why Brito is in the ball game, he just checked in to replace A.J. Pollock, who apparently has aggravated that elbow injury on this slide into home. Watch him lean right there on that elbow, and he was clearly in a lot of pain. That's the right elbow that's troubled him all spring long. And he went immediately into the clubhouse. There's assistant trainer Ryan DePanfilo. And A.J. was very frustrated and upset, and we still have no word on his condition, so it's Brito in center. And he's at first now with 1 out for Goldie.
Steve, you go through so many things coming back from an injury like Pollock had to that right elbow, and you can go through all the action, all the throwing, hitting, everything you do from a baseball player standpoint, and you can feel like you're ready to go. But that is one of those moves that you don't practice. You don't train on how to pop up from a slide, and unfortunately it looked like that was a painful end of that slide.
Brito takes off. No throw from Salvador Perez, and the Diamondbacks have their second stolen base tonight against Perez, who twice has dropped the ball on the transfer.
Yeah, this is a pitch in the dirt, and Salvador Perez does not have a good opportunity to even get it out of his glove, so D-backs taking advantage of it.
So Brito at second, and a 1-1 count on Goldie, who was 2 for 2, a double and a single. He scored a run. And it looked like A.J. was doing almost like he might do a push-up, just trying to push yourself up from laying flat on the ground, and that was apparently where he aggravated the elbow soreness. Still no word from the Diamondback clubhouse. But you have to imagine that if A.J. can't make it, that Brito would be the guy in center field. But I'm sure Chip Hale will face those questions after this ball game. Two balls, 1 strike. Two and two. That one not to Goldie's liking.
Had a chance to visit with Joe Carter, who is a Diamondback special assistant
Isn't
today.
he great?
He's great. Really knows the game inside and out, and was really high on this group of players and the depth that they have and their ability to compete.
Well, you never want to lose an all-star Gold Glover like A.J. Pollock, and
We emphasize there is no word on his condition as of this moment. But it's nice to know that if your depth does get tested, that guys like Brito are there.
Exactly.
Only chases that one. 96 from Danny Duffy, and he strikes him out.
And there's a good example of what Danny Duffy has to offer as far as his ability to be dominant. Here's one of the best hitters in baseball, and Danny just rears back and gives it everything he's got on a fastball. Elevates, gets a big strikeout.
Yeah, big lefty who comes in out of that bullpen throwing upper 90s. That's a lot to handle. Peralta now has walked and reached on a fielder's choice. Another at bat for David against a lefty. This is an area in which he has improved immensely. Always looking for at bats against left-hand pitchers. That average 2 seasons ago against lefties was 197. Last year it improved to 250. On a one-hop right to Escobar. That ends the inning. It's on to the 5th in downtown Phoenix. Diamondbacks 5, Royals 2.
Meatball on one.
Spring training on Fox Sports Arizona is presented in part by Ram Trucks. Right now, get a great deal during Ram Truck Month. We're at Chase Field. A gorgeous night here in the Valley. Roof and panels open. Diamondbacks about hit the Royals 7-3. They lead it 5-2. Ruby De La Rosa back out there for the Diamondbacks, and Salvador Perez will lead it off for the Royals. Perez popped up his first time up. Here's a strike, 0-1. Boy, I was looking at some of the numbers, Jeff, for Salvi, and what a year last year. Just clearly the heart and soul of this team. 21 home runs, but for a big guy, 6'3", 240, he is an absolute workhorse behind the plate. Last season, he started 137 games. Started at catcher. Started 143 the year before that.
And that shows the importance that he provides to this team. Not just what he does with the bat, but also what he does behind the plate, working with those pitchers, and does a really nice job. I know Ned Jost would love to give him maybe more time off, but he understands the value that he brings to the equation every time that he puts him in that lineup.
And then you look at all those games that he started, and that doesn't even factor in 2 long postseason runs the last 2 years. So this guy has really seen some time back there, and he leads it off with a single.
Nice to see Salvador staying back. Sometimes he gets a little anxious at the plate, but stays back nice, and Really takes advantage of the pitch up in the strike zone.
Is he as cool a guy as he seems? He seems like he really enjoys himself.
He has fun every day at the ballpark.
I believe it.
Every day he has probably more fun than anyone. I know anyone in a blue uniform, but maybe anyone in Major League Baseball. He just enjoys himself to the max.
It's just so great for baseball to have guys like that out there that play with joy and passion. Omar Infante walked in his first plate appearance. I mean, even in the biggest postseason games, all the pressure games, everything the Royals have been through the last 2 Octobers, you see Perez down there, and he's just joking around with everybody, laughing. It's like a Sunday at the beach for him.
And he's the guy that loves to get that Gatorade bucket and dump it on someone after the game.
96 in there for a strike. 1-1 on Infante.
There were a couple of games last year. Joel Goldberg wanted to have him on as a post-game guest because he had such a nice game, but he said, no, I want to have the Gatorade. So he would hide, and he'd come on, maybe be a second guest, but he wanted to make sure that he's going to be dumping some Gatorade on somebody.
I'm sure that made life more difficult for Joel. He's booking his own guests down there.
Yeah.
It's not like he's got a staff.
Sally would say, no, get him. He had a better game than me. I'll do the Gatorade.
Joel, I mean, I guess he wants to have fun, but he's not big timing you, right?
No, he's never big timing me. I've tried to get him to pay for my dry cleaning. He has said no, even after the new contract. He said you could handle it. The thing that fans never see, whether it be on the highlight reels for you guys out here or Kansas City fans, Bert, is the fact that he's sitting there hiding in the dugout every time, looking at me every time, giving me like a shh look, like I'm really going to say anything. And then if he thinks people are going to see him, he'll start coming in from a different route. He is always scheming and up to something. And as Monty said, just a guy that truly, truly loves every moment.
I mean, you think he would be worn out from catching all those games and playing in all these big spots, but he seems to thrive on it. 2-2 on Omar Infante.
Talking about the injury bug and the elbow thing, Infante's a player who had some surgery done in the offseason, and maybe the first time he's been healthy, at least in a Royals uniform in spring training camp, whether it be a shoulder or an elbow. So hopefully that will lend itself to him being a more productive player. He's always been a solid defender, but maybe a more productive player with the stick.
Well, he's had a great spring. He's hit .357 this spring. After a down year last season, hit only .220 with 2 home runs, had a dreadful on-base percentage, .234. As you mentioned, couldn't go in the postseason with that injury. It's a base hit. Infante aboard for the second time. And the first 2 have reached here in the Royals' 5th against Ruby De La Rosa. Well, things have been a little rocky for Ruby. His last couple of outings this spring, we talked about that earlier. Last 2 starts hit hard by the Giants and then the Rockies. 11 earned runs on 18 hits in less than 12 innings in his last 2 starts. But they like the stuff. Chip Hale says it's dynamite. They just don't want to worry about results, at least not yet. But they believe with Ruby everything is working just the way they want it. And he has 100% confidence in his stuff right now. So we'll see. 2 on, no outs. And here is Raymond Fuentes. Swing and a miss. Bullpen phone starts ringing for the Diamondbacks.
And really, as a pitcher, that's one thing you want to accomplish by the end of spring training. You want to work on your reps, get your pitch count up if you're a starting pitcher, but you want to have some confidence. You want to feel good about all of your pitches working, and you do some things during camp that maybe you're not going to do during the course of the season. But when you break camp, you want to make sure that the pitches you're going to rely on, you've got those refined to the point that they're going to be there for you.
That one squirts through into right, a base hit. And the Royals have the bases loaded with 3 singles to open up the 5th. So Ruby's in a bases loaded, no out mess.
Shortstop, Alcides Escobar.
And Alcides Escobar, the leadoff man, steps in. Here comes Mike Butcher. Bullpen will get busy. Caleb Fleck, the right-hander, the hard-throwing right-hander. It's Scott Rice, the big lefty. And there's the clock on this now. Here you go. They start counting down, and the umpire, Brett Terry, comes out with about 12 seconds or so left. So by the time he gets to the mound, he will say, all right, your time is up. There's 5 seconds on the clock, and there goes Butch back to the dugout. And that's the way it's supposed to work right there.
I like that.
That's your office. You don't want anybody in your office, right?
You would prefer to never have anybody enter your office. Doesn't always work that way, but that's what you would prefer.
So we'll see if Ruby can find a ground ball here. That's been a big weapon for him in the past. Bases full of Royals, nobody out. And Alcides Escobar, who led off the ball game with a triple, steps in. He scored the game's first run. Segura bobbles it. Ahmed turns it. The run scores as Perez comes across to make it 5-3. A juggling act by Gene Segura, but Nick Ahmed with that quick release gets 2.
Third baseman, Mike
He really does a nice job in staying with it. Not real clean, but just enough athleticism to get that ball.
Boy, Nick Ahmed is just special down there. I think Segura, Jeff, got screened by the umpire.
Couple pair of nice hands right there.
Jim Wolf was right in front of him. It's not Jim's fault, certainly, but I think Gene might have been screened a bit on that grounder that came right to him, right at Jim Wolf. So they get 2. They give up the run. 5-3 game now for Moustakas, with Infante at third. Nice block back there by Wellington Castillo, keeping Infante down there.
Huge double play for Ruby De La Rosa. Now he's got a situation. Gets one more out. He's out of the inning. He's got the 5 innings under his belt. Probably going to be the end of his night's work, and really be a big difference maker if you can get that ground ball for the double play in huge situations with bases loaded.
When he was at his best last year, he was getting a lot of ground ball outs and double plays. His ground ball percentage last year was 49%, a career high. I mean, that put Ruby top 25 among all major league starters in terms of ground ball percentage. At 14 ground balls when he went 9 innings at Miami in mid-May. Then had a start at San Francisco in the middle of June, during which he had 4 double plays turned behind him and wound up working 8 scoreless innings.
Both of these teams very solid defensively now with the way they've reshuffled things, and I think that's one thing as a pitcher. Put the ball in play, especially if you get ground balls, you're going to get a lot of outs.
In terms of defensive runs saved, if you're a defensive metrics person, these were the 2 best teams by far in baseball last year. Diamondbacks #1, Royals #2.
And those Diamondbacks outfielders saved so many runs. It was phenomenal.
A Gold Glove for A.J. Pollock in center, but now A.J. has had to leave the game with an apparent injury. Still no word on his condition. 2-2 on Mike Moustakas. Reach down and spoil that one to stay alive.
I'm really happy to see more of the defensive metrics being utilized in baseball, because it's such an important, part of your game, and one of the areas that don't really get a lot of weight when you're factoring how good a team is. And I know the Royals were back-to-back World Series, and so much of it as a result of their defense. And again, the predictions don't show that the Royals or the Diamondbacks are maybe going to have tremendous seasons, but again, they don't weigh the defense the way that it should.
Moustakas can check his swing. Ruby gets the double play ball and the strikeout, but the Royals add a run. It's 5-3 in the 5th.
Front row seating. Each game ticket includes a bar rail in front of each seat and $20 in loaded value with in-seat service. For more info on pricing or to reserve your seats today, please visit Royals.com/tickets or call 1-800-6Royals.com. Experience the new Rivals Sports Bar. That used to be the pre- and post-game home of Jeff Montgomery and I, and also used to be an area that we talk about Zach Greinke a lot. We see Greinke now in that Arizona uniform, and he was part of that huge trade for the Royals. They got Lorenzo Cain and Alcides Escobar from him, and both of those two players have been American League Championship Series MVPs the last couple of years. Steve, you mentioned it before. He's unfiltered. You never know what he's going to say. He speaks the truth. I remember talking to him a bunch of years back after he threw, I think it was a one-hitter against Seattle, and he said they don't have a lot of talent on that team right now. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Something along those lines. But I asked him today about these Royals. There are 4 players left on the Royals team on the big league roster that were there with him on the big league roster, and he keeps an eye still on a guy like Alex Gordon, the others that are still there, Gerard Dyson and Luke Hochevar and Joakim Soria's back. I said, Zach, did you watch them and maybe root for them in the World Series at all? And he looked at me and he said, who'd they play in the World Series again? And I said, the Mets. He goes, oh, yeah, I guess I did. So that right there is Zach Greinke, and you also pointed out he can analyze and dissect that game. He knows it very well.
Yeah, he told Joel, D-backs president and CEO Derek Hall, when they were on the phone before the deal was done, that, yeah, I've watched your team. When I'm not pitching, I sit in the dugout and I watch the way you shifted against this guy, and I watched the way you guys ran the bases and played defense, and I think you've got something going there, and he wanted to be part of it. Now here he is. New pitcher for the Royals. I had to triple check this, and is this the same guy? But it is. It's Chien-Ming Wang, who 10 years ago was a 19-game winner for the Yankees, and now here he is, signed with the Royals in January at the age of 36. In fact, had a birthday yesterday.
And he's been one of those stories for the Royals, a little bit like Raymond Fuentes, a guy that you didn't really know a lot coming in. He's had his issues with regards to the disabled list over the course of his career, but has pitched very effectively for Ned Yost.
Has not pitched in the major league since 2013 when he made 6 appearances with the Blue Jays. Put up 2 very good seasons with the Yankees, 06-07, won 19 games both those years. And has not been the same guy since. 2-2 on Wellington Castillo. Very high left center. Cain's over there with Gordon. It'll be Alex Gordon. One away.
When you have bullpen depth, sometimes a guy like Chien-Ming Wang, he's a guy that can you can hide him a little bit, and they did a nice job with Chris Young last year, and he's one of those guys, you know, you're going to need more than 5 starters during the course of the season, but you don't overexpose a guy, you don't overuse a guy, you keep them strong, you keep them fresh, and that very well could be the case here.
The Royals are his 7th organization since the start of the 2013 season. Jake Lamb walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 1. He hammers that one toward the right field corner. Jake Lamb tried for the hustle double, and he's in there. What a spring for Jake Lamb. That's his 5th double. Came into the ball game just under 400 this spring. There's that new swing. It's in the hitting zone a whole lot longer. It's really worked out well.
Yeah, you got to like it right up the get-go. He's thinking 2 bases. It's in relatively easy.
He's at second with 1 out for Yasmani Tomas. There's the strike, 0-1. Big spring for Tomas, sitting over 460 coming into the ball game tonight. Oh, 2.
Steve, last season at this time the Royals had Ryan Madsen in camp, who had been out of baseball for a number of years and wanted to get back in the game, and ended up being a really critical piece for the Royals bullpen, and after last season was able to sign a 3-year contract with the Oakland A's. So you just never know.
Yep. It's one of those things with Wong where, you know, why not bring him in? You've got nothing to lose. He strikes out Tomas. Sometimes that's how you build depth. You got to find guys off the scrap heap and looking for 2nd, 3rd, 4th chances. You never know when you're going to strike gold.
Well, you mentioned his win tallies back in his consecutive years with the Yankees, and that's just very hard to come by, guys that have that type of track record. Now, I know injuries and the disabled list are certainly a big concern. Can you keep him healthy? That's the real key at 36 years old.
Ricky Weeks Jr. struck out in the 2nd and had an RBI double in the 3rd. And Ricky has had a very impressive spring trying to win a job here. This was Ricky back in the 3rd. Pulls it. That bat speed is still there. He can still turn on a fastball in like he did back in the Brewer days.
Yeah, still got tremendous bat speed.
So the thing you like about Ricky that you've seen this spring, he's doubled now 7 times. And he's drawn 5 walks in 21 games, so he's put up an on-base percentage well over 500. Had a home run yesterday at Salt River Field against the Rockies.
Wow.
Fights this one off and dunks it into right center. Jake Lamb will score another RBI hit for Ricky Weeks tonight. And it's a 6-3 ball game.
Wong looks like he gets this pitch in a little bit on the hands of Weeks, but just strong enough to be able to muscle it right out into center field.
It's going to be very hard for the Diamondbacks not to have Ricky Weeks on the opening day roster. We came in here right as camp was getting started. You looked up one day and all of a sudden Ricky Weeks was here. Oh, okay, sure. Why not? But boy, he has taken advantage of this opportunity. The Diamondbacks were the only ones he said that called. So here he is, Nick Ahmed. And as you said with Wong, you never know.
And with Weeks, Ned Yost, former manager in the Milwaukee Brewers organization.
Sure, yeah.
Manager Brewers, talks a lot about guys like Ricky Weeks and Prince Fielder, those young guys coming up at the same time and seeing them develop and turning into very solid major league players.
Nick has singled and grounded out. He's 1 for 2. Yeah, Ricky Weeks, parts of 12 seasons in the big leagues, 11 with the Brewers. Played part of last year with Seattle and was let go in the middle of June. said when the Diamondbacks called him up, he was ecstatic. He said, yeah, that's a team that's up and coming, ready to make that jump. I'll be there. 1-2 now. I mean, it didn't work for Ricky in Seattle last year. He only played 37 games with the Mariners and hit a .167. Really wasn't getting regular at bats. A couple of home runs in April. Hit about 130 through May and into June, and then was released, and that was the end of his season. But 2 more RBI hits tonight. 1-2 on Nick. First base side, Hosmer near the dugout. And it's out of play.
I had it every time.
Nice work.
It's amazing how happy a baseball will make fans of all ages. A little souvenir.
Check on Wall. Here come the trainers. He seems to be just fine.
Sure looked like he got his throwing arm to me, but we'll see on the replay.
Off the bat of Nick Ahmed. Let's take a look. Somewhere on the right arm. I think you're right.
Maybe the shoulder.
Yeah. Going to give him a couple of warm-up tosses. Boy, Nick Ahmed has really had a big spring at the plate. He came into the ballgame hitting .419, 12 extra base hits, 11 RBIs. He's 2 for 3 tonight with a pair of singles. He's hit safely in 18 of 20 games. He turned a sensational double play at second base earlier in the ballgame. And he has had an enormous spring.
And really looking at the entire Diamondbacks number for spring training, almost 30 points higher than any other team in baseball.
It's crazy, isn't it? They have had at least 10 hits, the Diamondbacks, in 27 of their 33 Cactus League games. A .320 team batting average this spring, the best of the major leagues. Segura. 2 on and 2 out. There's ball 1. Segura, speaking of hot, came into tonight 30 for 58 this spring, a .517 batting average, but hitless so far. I mean, what a spring it's been for this guy. 2 doubles, 2 triples, 3 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 11 RBIs, 17 games this spring. He's hit safely in all but 1. Escobar behind the bag. The flip to Infante. They get the force on Ahmed, and that ends the inning. But the Diamondbacks get 1 more. They'll go 2-6. They lead it 6-3. shortstop, Gene Segura at second base. That is the middle infield combo, and will be whenever Ahmed is the shortstop, said Chip Hale today. And they have provided us with our Chaz Roberts cool plays of the game. Look at this turn right here. Segura bobbles Ahmed. So quick there. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool plays of the game. And this is the way it's going to work, at least on the days that Ahmed is the shortstop. Segura will be at second base.
A couple of very athletic middle infielders.
New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the free agent signee, the right-hander Tyler Clippard. This spring so far, his 10th appearance, the ERA just under 5.5. Here on a 2-year, $12.25 million free agent deal signed in February. Split last season between the A's and the Mets, and pitched against these Royals in the World Series last year.
Pitched in Game 5, as a matter of fact.
Lorenzo Cain leads off the 6th.
We talked earlier about the matchup with Matt Harvey, who started Game 5 on opening night Sunday against Edinson Volquez. Be the first time that starting pitchers from the last game of the previous season will be making the start in the first game of the next season.
It's funny how that worked out, isn't it? That's going to stay fair. Lamb will charge it. Gotta hurry. Hey! Boy, Jake Lamb has made 2 terrific plays coming in on balls at third base tonight. He got Escobar in the 3rd, now gets the speedy Cain to lead off the 6th.
You could put a circle around that play. That's a very nice play for the speedy Lorenzo Cain to get him.
That's why they are very excited about this young man at third base, Jake Lamb. Eric Hosmer now. Hosmer has struck out in walk. He's 0 for 1. I thought Tyler Clippard, Jeff, toward the end of last year when they got into the postseason, looked fatigued. He had a long season. And the workload, first with the A's and then with the Mets, seemed to catch up to him a bit in September and into October. But you'll remember he was the losing pitcher in Game 4 of that World Series, coming into the 8th inning with that 3-2 lead. Walked 2 guys, both of whom scored on that now infamous ground ball that went under Daniel Murphy's glove. Those were Clippard's runs. And off you go. So that's kind of a big hang with him there.
Yeah, that may have been the game I'm thinking about. Maybe it was Game 4 that I remember him coming in, and that was the huge game when the Royals came back.
He walked those 2 guys, then came out of the ball game, and then it's when Familia came in and that ball went right under Danny Murphy's glove, and that was it. But it's amazing in watching that World Series how the Mets really, you could almost make the argument, could have or maybe even should have won every one of those games.
Absolutely.
Not that the Royals didn't deserve to win, but it's amazing how in a short series you think, they won in 5. What's the big deal? Well, every game it seemed could have gone either way. And he walks Hosmer.
And I've seen a little bit of that, having seen the Diamondbacks this spring, a little bit of that never say never attitude the Royals have had it the last couple of years, and you're starting to see the makeup of this Diamondbacks team that the guys have assembled. They're just going to find a way to keep pecking away.
You know, that really comes from the dugout. I think that's something that Chip Hale has done a remarkable job of instilling in this young ball club, because this is a very young team, the youngest team in the majors last year, and a lot of that comes from Chip. And he has organized once again this year a very competitive spring training, and we've seen the results. Kendrys Morales homered in the 2nd. But the way the Diamondbacks take the extra base, hustle all the time, we hear that everywhere we go, from opposing broadcasters, players, coaches, fans. I really like watching your team play.
And it's amazing the difference that it makes. It's really been the big part of one of the things that the Royals have found in their turnaround over the last 3 or 4 seasons, is their ability to do those little things, because they add up. You win 1 or 2 extra games during the course of a season, it makes a huge difference.
He hits that a mile up in the air. Peralta near the line. It stays playable. Hosmer bluffs and holds. And David gets it back in there quickly. 2 outs.
Left field, Alex.
Always heard that Tyler Clippard is a fly ball pitcher, and the numbers certainly back that up. Why are some guys ground ball pitchers and other guys fly ball pitchers?
That's a very good question. I certainly would want to be in the the camp of being the ground ball pitcher as much as possible, but
ground balls don't leave the yard.
They don't leave the yard, but like Chris Young, tonight's starter, is a very good example of a fly ball pitcher, and certain ballparks are certainly better to be fly ball pitchers in than others, but I think that's one of the things that's been huge for guys like Chris Young.
Hosmer takes off, and he is out of there. Wellington Castillo throws him out, and Nick Ahmed applies the tag. We'll see if the Royals want a challenge here. Hold the phone. Ned Yost waiting for word. Here's a look. Boy, the hand got in there just as the glove was coming down on the elbow. And there is no challenge from the Royals dugout, so that's a caught stealing to win the top of the 6th. Diamondbacks lead at 6-3. D-backs lead the Royals 6-3. Hey, D-backs fans, we are excited to introduce 1893 from the makers of Pepsi Cola. It's a premium cola inspired by the original Pepsi recipes. It features premium cola extract and fair trade sugar. Pick up one at your local retailer today. 1893 from the makers of Pepsi. All right, I can't wait for spring training to be over. There's no 47 on the roster, but he's in the ball game. It's amazing how often that happens, and here we go.
Looks like Peter Moylan.
Pete Moylan, who just got assigned to minor league camp. I read that was 2 days ago, right? And was brought back.
Yes.
So here's the Aussie, the veteran Aussie right-hander, to face Socrates Brito, who's in there for A.J. Pollock. And if you're just joining us, A.J. Pollock had to leave the game after apparently a painful slide at home plate, and he was grabbing his right elbow and went immediately to the clubhouse. That's why Brito's in there. This was the play at the plate. Watch AJ's right elbow right there as he tries to get up, and it did not look good.
See, that's probably a play that he's done numerous times during the course of his career, but when you have that little tweak in there, you just never know.
Brito can really bust it up that line, and there he is. That's how he got his first major league hit, on a very similar play right there. And this guy is electric on the bases, Socrates Brito. So Brito's in center. Still no word on the severity of A.J. Pollock's injury.
No doubt about this one. Speed like Brito, you see the ball bounce high in the air. You can almost pencil that one in.
So Brito, 2 for 2, a pair of singles. He's stolen a base. He's aboard against Moylan to lead off the 6th. There's Goldie. Goldie has doubled, singled, and struck out. 2 for 3. He's also stolen a base and scored a run.
Was watching Paul Goldschmidt take some ground ball, some early work with Mark Grace over at first base today. Just what a professional he is, the way he goes about his business.
He has made himself into one of the best players in baseball. The work ethic is off the charts. And people don't realize, if you don't see a lot of Diamondback games nationally, you know who Paul Goldschmidt is. You see the numbers and the stats and all of that, but he is the Diamondbacks' best base runner. We think he's the best offensive first baseman in baseball. And he works on every fine detail he could possibly find. And the work ethic is relentless. Dave McKay was talking about that the other day. He said Goldie is always interested in learning how to be the perfect player. And Dave, who was with Tony La Russa in St. Louis, said Albert Pujols was the same way. They wanted to know everything about everything. And the Diamondbacks are reaping the benefits. Moustakas at third. They get Brito, and they can't turn two. That was a nice stop and turn there by Mike Moustakas to get the lead runner.
Yeah, Mike Moustakas got a cannon for an arm, but he's also very quick down at third base. Finds a nice way to stab. This ball was absolutely a rocket to the opposite side, but found a way to get at least one. Pitcher loves that.
And remember the new second base rule, if you want to call this the Chase Utley rule. You have to slide directly into the bag and cannot meander around to get the runner. Now, that was not a case where that would come into play, but that's something that we'll be keeping an eye on, of course, all year long. David Peralta now. Baseball wants to see what it calls a bona fide attempt to slide into second base and remain on the base. You cannot change your pathway to the base while sliding, trying to break up the double play. After Chase Utley's roll block on Ruben Tejada in the postseason last year that broke the leg of the then Mets shortstop. You can make contact, by the way, with the infielder on that play. You just can't change your pathway to the base to do so.
For maybe some of the older baseball fans, particularly maybe Royals fans, probably Hal McRae comes to mind.
That's one of the famous ones too. Yeah. Talk about a roll block or a tackle. I mean, some of those by our standards now just seem vicious. It's like watching films of the 1970s Oakland Raiders. George Atkinson and Jack Tatum.
Playing hardball.
Old school. The thing about that is if they decide, and this is part of the rule now, if they decide that the runner made illegal contact with the infielder, the runner and the batter are both out. They're telling us now, as Peralta strikes out, that A.J. Pollock has indeed injured that right elbow. They don't have any word on the severity yet. They are running more tests. But it is indeed an aggravation of that elbow injury for A.J. Pollock, and that is terrible news for Chip Hale and the Diamondbacks. Don't know how bad it is yet, but it is the right elbow. And that's all the news they have for us right now. Wellington Castillo. A ball and a strike. Diamondbacks have out hit the Royals 11-6. They lead at 6-3. Good to see Pete Moylan out there. He's one of the good guys, a guy that has hung around and tried to fight and scratch and claw for jobs with just a litany of terrible elbow injuries and shoulders. He just has not been able to stay healthy. But he's out there still pitching. Did he go? He did, says Ted Barrett, and Moylan gets 2 strikeouts to win the 6th. We'll go 2-7. It's 6-3 Diamondbacks. Hey fans, customize your own ticket package with a D-backs mini plan. You can choose from opening day, a big series like against the Cubs or the Yankees, choose bobblehead games or any combination you want, and you'll save over single game prices with a 6 or 10 game mini plan. You can buy them right now at dbacks.com. Changes for the Diamondbacks will start on the mound. The big right-hander Enrique Burgos is out there. Burgos has discovered a split finger fastball that has been electric, to say the least. And he is bidding for a bullpen job here. A 3.24 ERA this spring. He's worked just under 9 innings, walked 4 with 12 strikeouts. Goldie has come out of the ball game. Phil Gosselin will play first base now. And with the injury to A.J. Pollock, he left tonight's game with a right elbow injury, currently undergoing further testing. And the Diamondbacks hope to have an update following our ball game tonight. This is what we were told we might see this spring. Chris Owings is now in center field. And Socrates Brito has moved over to right. He replaces David Peralta. So Brito goes from center to right, and Owings is in center field. Alex Gordon leads it off against big Enrique Burgos. Look for that split finger fastball. Have not seen a lot of Phil Gosselin at first base. That's something very new for Phil. Certainly not seen CO in center. So the Diamondbacks in this exhibition game really testing the limits of their versatility. How much can they get out of how many guys? And with AJ suffering a reoccurrence of that elbow injury, they're going to try and figure out something in center field. You want to know your options out there, and Chris Owings, they think, can cover a lot of ground.
Well, for a player like Chris Owings, who certainly enhances his value to a Chip Hale when he has the ability to play more positions, it reminds me a little bit of Ben Zobrist, who was a middle infielder type guy. Once Joe Madden, his manager in Tampa, gave him a chance to play some outfield, he became an everyday player, and that's really what you're looking for as a major league player. You want to be in there as much as possible.
Burgos strikes out Gordon. Well, CO, his defense was sensational both at second base and shortstop last year. He has never played the outfield in the major leagues. And in the minor leagues, he has played a grand total of 1 game in the outfield. That was 2011. He started 1 game in left field at Visalia and had 1 putout. So 9 innings in his professional life in the outfield, and there he is in center.
Hey, no place like the show to learn.
Exactly, right? Salvador Perez singled and scored his last time up. Well, Burgos, when he cranks up that big fastball, can then go to that new split, which comes in at about 84 or so, and it just drops right off the table. So when you're elevating that fastball mid-90s and then getting that split to drop low 80s, that's a tough combination for hitters. There it is right there.
Yeah, that's nasty.
I mean, that's coming in at 86 with that drop on it.
Nice separation there between the splitter and the fastball.
He always had that big wipeout slider and went to it. He thought too much. He became too predictable last year. Came back and was slider, slider, slider. So this spring he's gone to that splitter, and his confidence in that pitch has skyrocketed this spring. Oozing with confidence is how Chip Hale put it. Left that one up. Some of the Diamondbacks catchers, in fact, this spring have told Enrique Burgos that that new split finger pitch was moving so much. They actually have trouble catching it.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I would think. And when you hear that, it's got to boost your confidence in that pitch. Something to take with you when you're working on a new pitch like that. There it is again.
And the thing that does when you establish that third pitch, it gives you that one additional weapon, but it's just something that allows you to put hitters away. Here we're going to see Salvador Perez. Very nice pitch in the strike zone, but it had such late life, such downward movement, very difficult to do anything with.
So he gets Gordon. He gets Perez. Omar Infante now.
Oftentimes relief pitchers are reluctant to go to that third pitch because the adage is don't lose a game when your third best pitch. But my feeling is the more pitches that you can go to, the better you're going to be.
He's always had the hard fastball. He's always had the big slider. And he got to the point where he had good command with both pitches, but needed that third pitch. He said, watching video, watching hitters, it seemed to him like hitters were just sitting on that slider knowing it was coming.
The Royals have a very effective mid-inning reliever, Kelvin Herrera, who did exactly the same thing.
Well, he's throwing 102 miles an hour.
Great fastball, great changeup, but he got hit hard a lot of times on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He develops a slider, and that third pitch made a huge difference for him.
Well, they always say, we're always told that a big league hitter will turn on a fastball, even one that's at triple digits on the radar gun.
Major league hitters today are so much more accustomed to seeing upper 90s, 100 miles an hour than they were several years ago. So you better have something to go along with that 100 miles an hour if you want to survive.
Turns on that one, but it's foul. Burgos a strike away from getting the side in order here. The coaches have really pushed Enrique Burgos to use that split finger fastball and throw it with conviction. One thing to throw it, another thing to believe in it. Bounced at that time.
Certainly spring training a tremendous opportunity to do that, but success will breed confidence, and I think that's the most important thing. If you're going to carry that pitch into the season, you have to have confidence in a huge situation, maybe nowhere to put anybody, bases loaded. You have to be able to execute that pitch.
2-2. Fastball up, sky to second base for Segura. Well, a good inning there for Enrique Burgos. He struck out Gordon, he struck out Perez, gets Infante to pop up. It's 6-3 Diamondbacks.
Hi, checking out the wrap.
Than at the ball game. It's 6-3 Diamondbacks, bottom 7. And it's time for the Gig Life high-speed highlights presented by Cox. A.J. Pollock on that play injures his right elbow and had to leave the ball game. They are currently performing more tests. Diamondbacks hope to have some news after the ball game. It's been a nice night for Ricky Weeks, an RBI double and an RBI single as he tries to win a job here in the Diamondback outfield. Jake Lamb will lead off the 7th against Pete Moylan. Jake singled in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3 tonight. He knows what he's doing out there. His 3rd straight American League All-Star team last year. He's got 4 Gold Gloves on the mantle with plays like this.
Yeah, he's the wrong guy to hit it to. If he get his glove on it, there's a pretty good chance he's going to come up with the play.
Yasmani Tomas. Are the Royals happy to play the Sunday night game? Because I mean, you win a World Series, that stuff starts to happen. You know, you get flexed into a Sunday night game, or you're there a lot later. You get to your next city a whole lot later. All that stuff that comes with it.
Well, it's going to get them home a day earlier to start the season.
There is that. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
I took an informal poll among the players last time I was in spring training camp, and a few more today. Happiest day of camp, the first day or the last day? Unanimous. The last day.
Well, Moylan gets another strikeout. As Tomas strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. 2 down now. And Chris Herman will come up and hit for Ricky Weeks Jr. Chris Herman, who is going to be the backup catcher this year. Yesterday, Tuffy Gozowicz was optioned at AAA Reno. So Herman will back up Wellington Castillo. He'll hit for Weeks here in the 7th with 2 outs. Chris batting .229 this spring. He's got a home run. Former Minnesota Twin.
His backup catchers could be difference makers for teams, especially guys that come in late. Oftentimes you're asked to handle a pitcher who's got dynamic stuff, your closer type guys that are going to be throwing the ball very hard at the end. And that's one thing that's a prerequisite as a backup catcher. You have to be able to handle those really hard throwing guys, frame the ball properly, allow them to get those strikes. And that's one thing. The Royals have Drew Butera. They like him so much because he handles those power arms coming out of the bullpen. And I think that's one of the things that during the course of the season, you know, with Castillo, maybe not a fast guy, he gets on base, you want to run for him and make some things happen, but you have to have a guy like Herman available that's going to do a solid job for you.
Well, the Diamondbacks carried 3 catchers most of last year. Castillo, Jared Saltalamacchia, and Oscar Hernandez. They've gone with 2 this year, trying to open up an extra spot for one of those bats, Weeks or Brito or Drury. And they like Herman's versatility. But Pete Moylan looks good here tonight. Gets 2 strikeouts in that 7th. It's on to the 8th inning. Diamondbacks 6, Royals 3. Inning here in downtown Phoenix. Diamondbacks lead the Royals 6-3. Hey, fans, plan ahead to get the full 2016 collection of Diamondback bobbleheads. The first of the series is the A.J. Pollock bobble. That's courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. The second, Paul Goldschmidt bobblehead night. That's July 2. Zach Greinke August 6 and David Peralta September 17th. You can collect all the bobbleheads this year by getting tickets to all the games. You can do that at dbacks.com.
Leading off for Kansas City.
New pitcher for the D-backs. It's the big right-hander, and what a spring it's been for Jake Barrett, the ASU Sun Devil, trying to win a job here on Chip Hale's staff. 10 games, the ERA is 0.87. 1 walk against 15 strikeouts in just over 10 innings. He has got closer stuff, and he has been a power right-hander so far this spring. Defensive changes behind him. Brandon Drury checks into the game at third base. He replaces Jake Lamb. Jason Bourgeois is in left for Yasmani Tomas. So the outfield for the Diamondbacks. Left to right, Bourgeois, Owings, Brito. Drury, Ahmed, Segura, Gossel in the infield. Castillo still the catcher there, strike one. To Raymond Fuentes, who singled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Jake Barrett out of Desert Ridge High School in Mesa, the ASU Sun Devil. Seems to be very aggressive and very confident this spring. The numbers have backed that up. And as Chip Hale said in watching Jake all spring long, everything that comes out of his hand right now is dominant. He has got power stuff. That was good location right there. Dropped it down out of the zone for the strike, and it's 1-2.
When you have that power arm, your ability to get on top of the baseball, whether it be with your fastball, but if you notice Barrett, everything is going down. It's finishing down, lower part of the strike zone, below the knees. That's very difficult to do anything with.
There it is right there. Gets the ground ball for Segura. Some reps at second. And a ground ball out for Jake to start off the 8th inning. Jake Barrett 15 saves last year. He's got closer experience in the minor leagues, both at Mobile and Reno. Spent a good portion of last year closing games at the AAA level for the Aces and Phil Nevin. Alcides Escobar led off the ball game, sure enough, on the first pitch with a triple. Scored on a Mike Moustakas ground out. I don't understand why anyone ever throws this guy a first pitch fastball.
I agree.
That should never happen.
Noah Syndergaard didn't in the World Series.
By the way, there's still been talk about some retaliation.
I've not heard any.
They're going to take the 5th. Weak contact again. Sounded like he broke his bat. Segura has it. 2 down. I have read that some of the Royals are still a little peeved about Syndergaard going after Escobar. And there would be some payback. Somebody asked Edinson Volquez about that. Well, you're going to pitch opening day. Are you going to plunk somebody? And he's just said, I'm too old for that.
Unfortunately, the Royals got into that early on last season, and not that it was bad for them, but I thought it left a little bit of a stain on the Royals, and I think they're going to try to stay away from that. Now, the Royals do go to New York, and there's a possibility that Syndergaard would pitch a game there. So at that stage, maybe you see what happens when the pitcher climbs in the batter's box.
That's the thing, because you're going to have the DH at Kaufman. Just hit him in the hair, he'll be fine.
And he did what a really good pitcher, like the old school pitchers would do. He takes the inside part of the plate, says it, but the unfortunate part was it's very close to Alcides Escobar's head.
Yeah, that's a no-no. There's the strike. Shift is on again for Moustakas. Brandon Drury standing right next to the second base umpire out there. And Segura in shallow right. Boy, if he can work inside the lefties like we've seen him do tonight, he's going to have a lot of success.
Well, you can see very easily why Chip Hale's so high on Barrett.
All smiles tonight. That's a foul ball. Ernie Ned's down there. What do you like about Barrett, other than I get you've only seen 2 batters, but other than the fact he keeps the ball down?
He's fearless. He attacks the strike zone. He gets ahead. That's what I like when a pitcher has great stuff. Use that great stuff.
Announce your presence with authority, right? 2-2 pitch. Again, that location down and into the lefty.
That's a tough pitch for a right-hander to get it on the inside part of the plate with that much velocity, because oftentimes you're falling off the mound a little bit, but he stays right under that lead shoulder, allows him to keep that ball in that inside part to the left-hander.
They've been trying to get Ruby De La Rosa to pitch like this against left-hand batters. Castillo sets up away this time. Can't hit the spot. It's full 3-2. Lorenzo Cain on deck. He would be next. To the shift, and Drury's there. That's a line out to the third baseman, standing on the first base side of second. A little sabermetric smackdown for you. 6-3 Diamondbacks.
These creamery shakes.
Brandon Webb, Joe Borowski getting you set for D-backs Live, our post-game show. And guys, the one thing in these final spring training games you want to avoid are any injuries. Our story was A.J. Pollock coming back, but unfortunately he left this game.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. You know, you always want to be healthy coming out of spring training, and Pollock's been hurt. So they've got some interesting moves they're going to have to make for this.
Hopefully we'll find out some news after the game. Hopefully it's not serious. That's the one person on this team that you don't want anything to happen to.
We do know he's undergoing tests, and so hopefully we will have word on the post-game show, guys.
Thanks very much, guys. That's coming up following our ball game here on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. Certainly the last thing Chip Hale or any Diamondback fan wanted to see was A.J. Pollock leaving the field holding his right elbow. New pitcher for the Royals, it's Malcolm Culver. You see his numbers at AA Northwest Arkansas. 2-6, a 4.19 ERA in 43 appearances, all in relief. Nick Ahmed, 2 for 3, a pair of singles, leads off the 8th.
From players like Malcolm Culver being called over from the minor league side to be with the big league club during the weekend here, it's just a really nice opportunity to show your stuff. I know spring training camp, especially when you're in minor leagues, oftentimes you get to be a kind of a longer period of time. You're looking for opportunities to shine, and here's one for a young right-handed pitcher.
On a big league stage right now in his 7th year in the Royals organization. This is well hit. Deep left field. Way back and gone. Nick Ahmed, his second home run this spring, and his 13th extra base hit. It's 7-3. 3 for 4 night for Nick.
See, Culver gets behind, and then when you get to the middle part of the plate, big league hitter's going to do some damage.
What a spring he has had. Gene Segura, I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's hitless tonight. Came into the ball game batting .517 this spring.
Nothing like impressing your new manager.
They have been very impressed, as Chip Hale said the other day. They would like Gene to be able to lead off. He has proven that he can be a leadoff hitter here. But he is far from, Jeff, your prototypical leadoff hitter, because he's so aggressive. He's not going to be up there working counts and seeing a lot of pitches. He's a very aggressive free swinger up there, and they've told him that's okay. Do what you do. Don't worry about walks and seeing pitches. Get something to hit and drive it.
And that, for the most part, is the same philosophy the Royals have, particularly with their leadoff guy in Escobar.
Yeah, a guy who always, it seems, swings at the first pitch. But Segura punches out here. Second strikeout tonight. And 1 down in the 8th.
Right fielder, Socrates Brito.
Socrates Brito now. A pair of singles and a stolen base. Daniel Hudson, the right-hander, warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Brito checked into the ball game after A.J. Pollock had to leave with another elbow injury, and we are still awaiting word, as Jody Jackson told us earlier. The Diamondbacks hope to have more information following the ball game tonight, so stay tuned for the post-game show here on Fox Sports Arizona, and we will tell you everything that we know about A.J. Pollock's right elbow, which frankly did not look very encouraging when he left the field.
I think the best word that we could hope to hear would be scar tissue. Oftentimes you have an injury and things heal back up, and there's some scar tissue that sometimes just part of the process has to be kind of broken loose, and maybe that could potentially be something that we'd hear.
And again, the Diamondbacks have told us it is a right elbow injury, and A.J. currently undergoing further tests. They hope to have an update following the ball game. 1-2 on Brito. And it's another strikeout for Malcolm Culver's, making the most of this opportunity after the home run by Ahmed.
First baseman.
And now here's Phil Gosselin. Phil, 24 games this spring. He's hit .364, and he's had a very good camp. He's homered 3 times. He's knocked in 14. Also has 3 doubles and 3 triples. A guy that can play second base, third base, left field. Tonight he's in there at first base, having replaced Goldie. Quickly 0-2.
After the home run to Ahmed, Culver really settling down nice.
Struck out Segura, struck out Brito. 0-2, now 1-2 on Gosselin. Gordon in left. Sounded like he broke his bat on that one. But the Diamondbacks add one more. Nick Ahmed, his second home run this spring. They lead the Royals 7-3. We go to the 9th at Chase.
Kansas City
summary, the Diamondbacks at least 10 hits in 27 of their 33 Cactus League games. That trend has continued tonight. They about hit the Royals 12-6 and lead at 7-3, but you see the top line there on the bottom. That's the headline. A.J. Pollock has left the game with a right elbow injury on a head-first slide at home plate and left immediately. They are undergoing tests, and we hope to have more news on A.J.'s condition in the post-game show. So stay tuned as soon as this ball game is over. Daniel Hudson will work the ninth for the Diamondbacks, his ninth appearance, a 2.79 spring ERA. Lorenzo Cain leads it off. He's 0 for 3. Well, Jeff, our whole Fox Sports Arizona crew wants to thank you and Joel and everybody that we've done a couple of these broadcasts with you this spring, and it's been a real pleasure for us. And we tried to split it down the middle of the fairway here, Royals and Diamondbacks at least. So you guys have been terrific. It's been great to have you.
Well, we appreciate the chance to come in and be part of your broadcast and go back to Kansas City. And we've had great following all through spring training. I know the Diamondbacks, the Royals have set attendance records, so it's been a really good spring.
Save a place for us in October, will you?
Oh, wouldn't that be special?
1-1. I'm still amazed when I look at the photographs of the celebration in Kansas City. That was such an impressive show by Royals fans who turned out just a sea of blue. And boy, that was impressive.
Roughly 800,000 strong. It was really amazing.
It was. '94 from Huddy, 2-2 now.
I've seen the Diamondbacks in 4 games now during the course of spring training. I can say this honestly, that they look as good as any team that I've seen on the National League side. I mean, they have, with the addition of Greinke and Miller and what they have done and what Chip Hale and his coaching staff have done to get these guys ready, look like they're going to be a solid club.
Called strike 3. Hudson rings up Cain.
Huddy's going to get out the paintbrush here. That's
First baseman Eric Hosmer.
He's going to have to get them a lot of big outs at the back end of some big games this year, Daniel Hudson. He is a very key arm in this bullpen. Eric Hosmer struck out and walked twice. So the plan, I guess, is for most of these guys, for the Royals, is to fly out tomorrow?
I believe so, and I think that's why they're all staying in the game the entire 9 innings of the game. Get as many at-bats as possible. They're not going to see live pitching tomorrow, so get ready for Sunday night.
So tomorrow's game here against the Diamondbacks, the spring finale, will be very much so a minor league game because the Royals have the opening night duty Sunday night against the Mets, so they have to get back.
I believe Yordano Ventura, young right-hander, is going to pitch for the Royals.
Brandon Drury in foul ground, 2 outs. And the Diamondbacks open up here Monday against the Colorado Rockies. Zach Greinke in his D-backs debut against the Rockies' Jorge De La Rosa. As Chip Hale begins his second season as Diamondbacks manager. Greinke, De La Rosa, game 1 here. Shelby Miller and Chad Bettis in game 2. Game 3 Wednesday against the Rockies is a day game, a 12:40 start, and Patrick Corbin goes for the Diamondbacks there. Then the Cubs come in here for 4. Kendrys Morales looks at strike 1. And the Royals open up with that special 2-game rematch against the Mets at Kauffman Stadium after their World Series meeting last fall. First time in big league history the 2 World Series teams from the previous year open the season against each other. So they'll play that first game Sunday night, April 3rd. And then they're calling it, I guess, a second home opener Tuesday afternoon. They'll take Monday off.
Opening night and then opening day.
That works. And the ceremonies are all that Tuesday day game, right?
Right, they're going to raise the championship banner on Sunday and the rings on Tuesday.
Well, Socrates Brito can't quite get that one. And it drops in safely for Morales.
Kind of thought Brito was going to make an outstanding catch here, just a little short. Tried to sell it.
Trapped it there, so Gordon will get an at bat. He singled back in the second. He's 1 for 3. Don't forget, Diamondback live post-game show immediately following our ball game. All the A.J. Pollock news that is available, they'll have for you. Joe Borowski and Brandon Webb standing by with Jody Jackson. A.J. Pollock had to leave the ball game with a right elbow injury. So Jody will have all the latest information for you. That's coming up next. 0-2 on Gordon. And AJ's elbow, that's been a recurring theme all spring long, and really the only negative for the Diamondbacks all spring. They have won 22 games. One shy of a club record set back in 2002. The pitching has been there. The offense has been tremendous. .320 team batting average, the best in the major leagues. But the one downside has been the A.J. Pollock right elbow, and it's flared up again here tonight. Three and two now on Gordon. Perez on deck.
Every team faces injuries during the course of the season. It's not impossible to win if you have some injuries, but sure hate to have them, especially early in the year.
To an all-star player at a premier position, that really hurts. There goes Morales, and that's a base hit for Gordon. Morales will take the turn. He's in at third.
Alex Gordon was down 0-2 in the count. Got it back to full. Got a nice pitch to handle and nicely placed into right field.
Salvi Perez now. Perez singled and scored in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3 tonight. So the Royals, who won 14 and lost 19 in Cactus League play this spring, trying to tack on a couple of runs here at the back end of a 7-3 ball game. I like how he's got his name on his elbow guard there. That's kind of cool. Just so no one else picks it up.
Those catchers.
They're very particular about their equipment. Reaches out and drops it into center. Morales will score to make it 7-4. Three straight singles for the Royals against Daniel Hudson, all with 2 outs.
Pitch is going to finish off the plate. The Salvador Perez with those long arms, able to go out and just make solid enough contact to put it in the center field. Very frustrating as a pitcher when you make a quality pitch like that and ends up being a base hit.
So we get a pinch runner. At first base, and here's Omar Infante. Infante walked in the 2nd, singled in the 4th, or 5th, pardon me, so he's 1 for 2. Hudson struck out Kane, got Hosmer to pop up foul for the first 2 outs, but then singles by Morales, Gordon, and Perez. And now the 0-1 to Infante. The force on Gordon at third, and that ends the ball game. It's a 7-4 D-backs win. In front of 14,639, the Diamondbacks beat the defending World Series champs, their 23rd win this spring. And they take the first in a 2-game exhibition series against the defending champs. They out-hit the Royals 12-9 and win it 7-4.
Impressive outing for the Diamondbacks. Found a way to get it done. Continue to swing his hot bats.
I think you guys will be okay despite the loss here tonight.
Well, it all starts in about 48 hours.
Yeah. We'll get on a plane. Hey, Jeff, we really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for being part of our broadcast this spring.
Thank you, Bert.
Well, let's get the latest news on A.J. Pollock. All of Diamondback Nation is waiting to hear. Brandon Webb and Joe Borowski are standing by with Jody Jackson. Jody.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. That's right. Post-game show is coming your way next. And, guys, we will hopefully have some kind of injury news on A.J. Pollock. You know, hopefully it's not serious and that he'll be back sooner rather than later, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's one of their key guys. You've got to have him out on the field. He sets up the whole lineup, protection and everything. So they need to have him on the field as soon as possible.
You know, Joe, we saw Chris Owens in the outfield. If A.J. is going to be out, some interesting decisions to be made, right?
That's the one position in the outfield that I think they will struggle to fill. Hopefully it's nothing long term.
All right, so plenty coming your way. We'll hear from Chip Hale for sure whether there is any news on A.J. or not. If there is, we'll certainly bring it to you, though.